Nigel.
Hi, Izabela.
Thanks for having me here today at the Bonsai
Very welcome.
Zone.
You're welcome here anytime because I always enjoy having you over.
Nice, yeah.
So it's great to have you.
Thank you. So Nigel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, and
Well,
what the Bonsai Zone?
my story starts when my wife got pregnant. She wasn't working, so I was able to take her pregnancy leave. And so I got, at that time, I think it was 9 months, maybe 10 months off work, getting unemployment. And it was in the summer, and it really opened my eyes so I had the whole summer off without working, first time in my life.
Wow.
And it was an eye-opening experience. It was so enjoyable. I mean, you can go to the beach anytime, you can work on your trees all day. And it was a real eye-opener that it made me really look forward to being retired someday. So I was determined to save all the money I could, save up and actually retire someday and just work on my trees. And 'cause that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And so it was a real kick in the behind that I said, that's what I want to do. So I did. I saved a lot of money. I lived a very poor and meager lifestyle. And then I was able to retire early. And I kind of transitioned from work into YouTube. So now I kind of do, I guess you'd say I do YouTube full time, but it's still kind of a hobby for me.
It's still a hobby because?
Well, because I do work hard at YouTube. A typical day is I'll start videoing. I usually water my trees in the morning, take care of them, eat lunch, and then I start videoing in the afternoon. And it usually takes me a lot of the afternoon to make the video. Then I have supper, and then I hit the editing of the video, and that takes, depending on the complexity of the video, generally 1 to 2 hours.
To edit and then post it?
And then you have to post-process it, putting all the clips to render it into one file. And that usually takes 1 hour to 2 hours. And then you have to upload the video, and that usually takes at least half an hour to an hour. Put in all your titles and everything, and then late at night I release the video, and I do the premiere and talk to people in the premiere in the chat. And by then it's bedtime. And I do the same thing every day almost. But I do have the freedom. If I don't feel like making a video that day, I don't have to. And yeah, so basically.
And that's why it's a hobby, because you don't have that kind of push that you have to do it. It's more like you want to do it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Zombie apocalypse. And I'm also, because I'm retired already, I don't rely on YouTube as income.
I see.
So I can do whatever video I want, even though I know it won't be popular. So some of my videos, I think I did one on weeding bonsai, and it's probably the most boring subject you can ever imagine, but it's kind of important. It's part of bonsai, and it shows some people have this fantasy about growing bonsai that everything goes well and your trees never get weeds and they always look perfect. And so I try and show the day-to-day lifestyle of growing bonsai, the care required. So everything I do to my trees other than watering and fertilizing is on video. So you're seeing what it takes to grow and maintain a fairly large bonsai collection, but half my trees, more than half, I would say 75% of my trees I wouldn't call bonsai. They're sort of trees in training, and hopefully, to get them to a nice showable level someday.
Yeah, because that's the beginning of it, isn't it? First you need to have them for several years, and then you can start training them.
Yeah.
Gradually, it's
Well, at first you're training yourself, not the trees. You're training yourself to take care of the trees.
Yes.
And you learn the hard way. They'll tell you if you're not doing something right, they'll just keel over and die.
Yeah.
And then you you can get discouraged or you can learn from your mistakes. And like everything in life, there's always two paths. And growing bonsai, learning to grow bonsai isn't an easy task to learn. It's trial and error. It helps if you're part of a club and you talk to people and you have people that show you or they teach you and they share their knowledge. That helps a lot, but there's a lot of self-learning and a lot of mistakes are made early on, and gradually you train yourself to take care of the trees and then you start training the trees. So there's kind of two stages to it.
Oh, that's interesting to look at it that way. And you mentioned that there's two paths. When the tree is kind of showing you're not doing a good job, maybe the tree will die, and maybe you can get discouraged, and then you can start experiencing doubt and question: should I do it? Should I not do it? You have to make those decisions almost like not just once. You decided I'm going to continue with bonsai, but probably quite a bit.
Well, you have to remember
with every day.
Before I started my bonsai channel, I was doing bonsai for like 25 years. So
oh wow!
all those mistakes that I made early on, those trees are long gone.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think starting the channel when I did it in my life is that.
When did you start it? What year
10 years ago,
okay.
So 2014.
2014.
Yeah. And I think I still kill trees, but not as many. And so when I show a tree on the channel, chances are you're going to see it many years, year after year.
Because you've already traveled that path when, you know how to keep them alive, basically.
Yes, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I still lose some, mostly from neglect or that I have too many trees maybe. But generally I can keep most trees alive. I've learned the basic care of them and repotting, pruning, all those techniques that shape your tree. Growing a tree is easy. Growing it as a miniature bonsai or a miniaturized tree is difficult. It becomes you have to be able to read the tree. If it's not happy, as you said, you've got to
you gotta look at yourself too and self-reflect and but I think like looking at your choices, how you got here, it's been like 30 years since you've been doing bonsai. That's like just this consistency of deciding I'm gonna continue doing it, even though there's mistakes and there's daily activities that take a lot of time and energy that goes into it.
Well, you just look at watering. Like in the summer, sometimes you have to water each tree twice a day, and you spread 365 days of the year over 30 years, and you calculate how many times you've watered the tree. It's a lot of times. And
did you ever have somebody ask you that they would really want to do what you do, but it's impossible? Like they can't see themselves because they look at you where you are now and where they are, and it's just such a wide gap. So maybe that's why it seems impossible.
I always tell when people get into like YouTube, imagine yourself as a guest speaker in an auditorium, and you're speaking in an auditorium and you have 25 views on your video. Imagine speaking in front of 25 people. That would be something. That's a lot of people. 25 people came to see you talk about something. So, and then you maybe get 100 people on your next video, and you think, there's 100 people sitting out there watching my video, and I think that's pretty amazing in this world. And then, if you go up in views, it's just even more amazing, I think. And so look at it that way, that, you'll meet people on YouTube, you'll talk to people, and even though your channel may be just getting small views, it's still someone's enjoying your videos, and you're making people happy, and making people think, and it's kind of
just look at what positives are coming from that action in the moment.
yeah.
So, like when I look at you with your trees every day, and I think this is so cool that you can do it, that you can come here to this greenhouse in the winter and make videos, but mostly, just being with the trees and enjoying the moment.
Yeah,
So,
it's really nice. Like, you don't see that on YouTube videos, is that I'll spend an hour just looking at my trees and enjoying them.
yeah.
Yeah, because when you have a lot of trees, it's nice to sit down in front of a tree and just study it and come up with plans for what direction you want it to go, or just appreciate the bark texture or the new growth in spring. And spring is amazing. It's the busiest time because you're repotting and there's so much work to do, but it's when the trees change the fastest, and it's just amazing seeing all the new growth come out, and sometimes they flower, and it's just it's a fascinating hobby, I think.
It is. So do you think a lot of that interest people have in your videos comes from that genuine joy that you experience when you are working on the trees? And
maybe I watch a lot of channels, and the ones that I enjoy the most is when the person is really enthusiastic about the subject. I mean, I can listen to someone clean toilets, and if they enthusiastic about it, they do a great job and they have cool techniques, it makes the video enjoyable. It doesn't really matter what the content is. It's you're kind of watching the person. That's another thing about YouTube, is that just be yourself and kind of do what you like doing.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a best first step. Like, just enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think about the future and we're like, oh, where is this gonna get me? Or I want to be up here. But if you can actually be in the moment where you are right now, and find the things that are positive about the experience.
Yes.
And just focus on that. That's what kind of fills the heart and gets me going. And I'm like, okay, maybe I want this tree to look like a bonsai tree in the future, but right now it's a tree in training. And it smells beautiful, and it's it's
enjoy the process of the pruning and growing and watering. Like, enjoy watering. Watering gives you a chance to look at your tree. It's like an excuse to go out there, and if you hand water, you're looking at each tree, and
you can just be in the moment, watching the water drip, and that's great. Do you feel like you want to add more?
What was the question again?
The question was like, what would you say to somebody who is looking at where you are right now, but they feel like, oh, it's impossible? And I was thinking more like, because they feel constricted in their job, maybe maybe they feel like they have so many obligations, responsibilities, and they do them, but they don't really feel fulfilled. So like, in that way, like, is there something that comes to your mind from your experiences that you could
Well, I would say when I was working full time, I had an hour commute each day, hour there, an hour back, worked a 10-hour day. And so it was a real pleasure for me to come home and water my trees and look at them and do something other than work. I find when I'm working on bonsai, or any hobby actually, time disappears. It's when you're doing something that you enjoy, I mean, you might as well just throw the clock away, because time an hour can go by so fast. And so I really enjoyed coming home and getting outside, not sitting down all day in an office job, and working on trees, and it was just really nice. It was I think there's the nurturing aspect of trees that's satisfying. There's the development of them, watching
over the years.
Watching this slow development, and I've heard a lot of people say, why would you grow these miniature trees when you can just enjoy the trees in nature? And with bonsai, you can see the details of the tree. You can see those buds getting swelling, and you can see the new shoots emerging. You can watch
every day.
every day, and you can watch species of trees that don't grow in your climate, like some of these trees that flower in that hibiscus. I can't go out and see a hibiscus tree in nature, so you have to grow it in a pot.
So it's an experience. It's like every day an experience of that the tree gives you joy. Taking care of it brings you joy, and you just kind of I guess it paves the path because through this experience of continuously enjoying yourself, like I can look at you coming back from work and just really enjoying, forgetting time, enjoying bonsai, and now where you are here now, when you can do this all day long, and it's I think that it's the joy that stays. When you do something and it really fulfills you, that's the first step.
And I think bonsai too is when you start off. I mean, a lot of your trees look like sticks in pots, and they don't look much like a miniature tree. But as the tree develops, it tends to get more branches, and it starts to look better and better. So I think the hobby, you get more enthusiastic about the hobby the longer you're doing it, because your trees start getting mature, and you see all those changes. That me watering this tree every day and keeping it pruned in that, how it affects the tree, and you see these changes slowly build up over the years, and it becomes this really fantastic work of art in the end. And it's a nice thing to see is that these subtle little changes you do.
The things you do have an actual living impact, and the tree responds, and then by you observing the tree, you can decide what's the next action. So that's actually makes me think about how we can shape our lives like that. Watching the tree's nature, knowing how it responds, like knowing where the buds are going to come on which side. And it's kind of like with us, when we look at ourselves, we're all different people. We have different needs, different joys, and and sometimes we have beliefs about ourselves that, those voices that say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And we try to force ourselves to be something that we're not. And, maybe if we could be gentle with ourselves, kind of like be gentle with the bonsai tree by observing what is it that nurtures me.
I wouldn't say I give the tree a little bit of freedom. I'm still pruning it to shape.
You're still pruning it,
It's I give it a small say. Whereas, if you totally manipulate the whole tree, the tree basically doesn't have much of a say as to what it's going to look like, or where the branches are going to grow, or how it's going to grow. So
I see.
I think it's important to look at life that way too, is that everything you do in life has consequences and a ripple effect. Everything you do can affect other people, who then affect other people, and keep that in mind, that it might be something very small you do that could have a big effect, or it's something you do that you think will have a great effect may have no effect.
That's right.
But everything does have an effect in life, and I think caring for things like trees here has effect. I think it opens you up to, you realize how fragile life is, and how short life is. I think,
and then maybe appreciating the fact that you actually have a choice, and like you said, those two paths, you can decide, it's too hard, and you said you give tree a little bit of freedom, but you also train it. It's like the way I see it, we need to train ourselves too, and guide ourselves to be our best selves, because if we just give in, or just say, we don't want to do this because it's too difficult, then we don't give ourselves the opportunity to excel. Or I think each of us has a gift and the potential to grow and become this optimal expression of this short life. And like you said, we don't know how we affect other people's life, so we don't need to worry about that, but we can just do our best. And
I think growing bonsai takes a lot of discipline.
That teaches you that discipline.
There's days I'm sick in bed with the flu, and I know I have to get up and water my trees, and it's just something you have to do. It's part of. It's a commitment. It's almost like, you know, a relationship. It's like marriage or something. You're married to these trees.
Yeah.
It's a commitment, and you have to be willing to, the discipline to
it's
hold up your part of the bargain.
But it teaches you this inner strength. I guess, like, kind of develops this inner strength when you, like, you know, for me, when I started it, I was like, I can't do it. That's too much work. But then watching myself do it for a year, I almost like gained respect for myself, more respect. So then it would transpire to other areas of my life. You know, okay, I'm gonna keep my word more, and, you know, and just be more responsible for my actions, because I saw that I can. And I think that's the beauty of that.
And probably confidence too, that you've learned a skill, and you know, it's something. It's an accomplishment that. Again,
Absolutely.
You know, in your mind, if you learned how to take care of a tree or a bonsai, you can learn other skills too and be successful at it.
Nice, thank you. That's really great, and I think we touched some interesting points. So I appreciate the honest, sincere conversation.
Oh, you're very welcome.